Okay, good morning. There's an echo. Make sure you guys are on mute. It's January 5th, 2023. We have a new year, new unit, new director. And so we're happy to have you guys join us just to have a casual conversation this morning with our leadership team. So again, make sure if you're on Zoom, if you can mute your device. And yeah, if there's anything you want to throw in the chat, do so. Or if you need to text me, if you can't hear something, do that. But I think everybody's good to go.
And I'm so not good at looking at the chat. So Trisha, if you need to interrupt me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
When questions arise. Thank you. I'm glad all you guys are online who are still probably in your jammies at home. So thanks for joining us. We have a whole bunch of just little announcements, things that come up. So what I typically do is when things come up through the week, I have a folder for like different meetings and throw the stuff on there, and then we can just like touch base, quick things. And then we're going to talk about, Trisha alluded to, new year, new unit. So, and I'm going to, Andrea and Jamie speak up on some of this. They're good with the details that I'm not at this point. So the question of age for patients came up. We will care for 13 and up, 13 and up at UH. There was a question of 12 and 15, 13 is the go.
25 and above at Mott.
Mm-hmm.
The only cases we don't care for at Mott are cardiac cases. So if it's a cardiac case and it's 25 and above, then it goes to the peds side.
How come that's the case? How come they're not coming over here to take care of their pediatric patients when we have to go over there to take care of adults?
Well, that would be a very good question if we want to.
Because they're saying that pediatrics goes up through age 24 over there, but over here, we're making adults start at age 13.
I am not sure how that all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So
there was some type of negotiation at some point, and that was decided. And I just feel, and we'll just talk, since she brought it up, we'll talk real briefly about Mott. You know, it is definitely my and the leadership's team's intention to allow Mott to own Mott. And that's just one of those, hey, this is another one of our points.
You know, an issue in the weekend, which I know you heard about, with the two Mott inpatients that were ERCPs. So they wanted to bring them from Mott to Maine because the GI doc said, "Oh, the doctor, I feel more comfortable doing procedures over here." So how appropriate is that to drag them from one hospital to another to do a procedure and take them back, bring in a peds nurse, bring an adult nurse to take care of these patients? And our anesthesia attending on with like, "He'll write me up if I tell him he has to do it over there." But it would be the safest for the patient.
My thing is that would have been worth the write-up if it was me, because then the conversation is started about what is the actual right thing to do.
Can I ask a question? Did the Mott nurses come and recover those kids?
The 15-year-old we recovered, the 12-year-old they came to pre-op that one and recover.
Yeah, that was
So
the
to me,
12 and
that's
15-year-old.
okay, right? I mean,
It's okay, but it seems odd.
I know, I agree with the age of where we decided 13 was
Yeah.
an adult.
When if it was done over there, it would have been, they would have recovered. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have stayed in.
Does not even have it. I don't know.
They have all the same equipment over there because I asked.
Okay.
That they do here, but the conference for the GI document is right here.
Because he knows the rooms here.
Yeah.
That's just a one-off.
Mhm.
But I agree. I mean, it's the whole age thing is weird.
Yes.
You know, for the patients, dragging it from one hospital to the other.
And I agree with you there. Yes, like that's.
Yeah. Okay, we're looking to start an afternoon huddle. We got to get some information to the afternoon, evening shift. Supervisors are kind of polling some people, and we're going to talk at UBC today about it and kind of decide on a time and location and those things that work best. We need to get, I try to be really good about getting communication out. I know in the middle of the day, huddle is a little more challenging, but I still think it's worth it to try to get it to happen. We talked about this last week or the week before that with the stretchers. Return to unit. When you're putting in transport requests or transport orders, make sure you get on their return to unit. So hopefully we get some of them stretchers back. If you have downtime, going around with the stretcher. IVs. Please remove IVs. I know sometimes we're busy and we send patients out of here. It just is really bad. Please remember and document it. There's been a couple questions brought up about the getting called in process. So we just want to make sure we're following the process. We think the process is good. We think probably our charges are double checking to make sure they're getting their staff in or they have a quicker access to them. All fine and dandy, but the OR check-in desk, what do we call that? Front desk or front desk calls you in. If they don't get you, you have to call them back and tell them, hey, yes, I'm on my way in. I was notified. The charge nurse is not going to do that. And then they're going to be recalling you. And then when they recall you and you answer and say, oh yeah, I'm on my way in, they're annoyed because we didn't close the loop there. So please just make sure you call them back and say, yes, I'm on my way in. Reception A, down by IR. Oh, sorry. I think it's Carly, son or somebody. It's okay.
Sorry about that. I'm muting. I'm sorry.
Okay. Reception A is down by IR is opening January 9th, which is next Monday at 5:30. So you will be able to find your patients and get them moving quicker. To go along with that, I have talked to, I can't remember the guy's name right now, who's in charge of IR, Raja. So they are attempting with our challenges with consent sometimes in IR. They are having a mid-level provider show up at 7 a.m. Now I know that mid-level a lot of times I am hearing feels funny about interrupting while you're doing vitals and IVs and all the stuff we have to do. They can interrupt. That's on them. I don't think that's on us. We don't have a problem with that. We're used to that, but they don't want to. So then I think they're hemming and hawing and hanging around and feel like it's a waste of time. But the intent of them coming at 7 o'clock first is so they can update the consent and it's all fine and dandy. If they have an issue and they don't want to interrupt, that's on them. That's not on us. But they're walking in the unit at 7. They get here at 7. They're supposed to be coming first. You grab them for anything you need. Okay. Mott. I think this is more off hours. I don't think this is, Monday through Friday during the day, but off hours on Mott, when you are pre-opping one patient and that patient is going to go back for several hours, please plan on, especially if this place is hustling, coming back and assisting until you're needed to recover that patient instead of sitting there. We can get communication to you that that patient is coming. We have to be better about that.
Letting the OR desk know if we do, if it's gonna be hours that we know they're coming out, letting the OR front desk over at Mott know that we're going back to Maine, that if they think they're coming out, soon, somebody notify us and we'll walk over.
Yeah. On call. Oh, this question was brought up. Not just on call, anytime. If we have, so Aspen standards are 2 nurses. We need to have 2 nurses in the same vicinity. So the question was, if we have 1 nurse in pre-op and 1 nurse in post-op, is that 2 nurses? It is. We don't have to have 2 nurses in pre-op or 2 nurses in post-op, as long as they're in the same vicinity. That's the standards where we go by.
and you just want to make sure, like, they could be across the way, so if you want to be down in 15 and like your pre-up's in 15 and you're down there, that's fine. You just don't want to be like right next to each other. Like in 15 for your pre-op and then 16 for your PACU patient. They can be across the way and obviously pull the
Yeah.
curtain to give privacy, because obviously that pre-op person is a lot more awake than the PACU patient. Or you can be, you know, in section B and then pre-oping over in 35 and 36. If you don't feel comfortable being across the way. That way, at least you're in the earshot. This is for like later in the evening, obviously, which we already do in the weekends, which I think we pretty much do, but for holidays and weekends too.
So when the surgery team is bringing your patient out to PACU and they don't want to stay for report or to report off to you, speak up.
Yeah.
You're the nurse. They are doing what they are not supposed to be doing when they start to walk away, not you, by asking, hey, I need you to stay. So do not be afraid to speak up. If they, you know, take issue with that, that's on them. Speak up. It's your patient. It's your practice. You need to know what's happening. Okay. ICU direct. Patients go ICU direct. Whoever this came up with over the weekend, they did the right thing, other than neuro. And there is a question of ER. If the patient comes from ER.
So the process is, if the arrangements are made in the OR that the patient's going directly to the ICU, they should go direct. We never said, do they come from the ER, go to the OR, what happens after that? We didn't plan for that, to be honest with you. But in my mind, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If
they have a
going
bed.
to the ICU and they have a bed, they're going to the ICU,
Yep.
why aren't they going to that?
Yep. So they're going. I don't know if just charge nurses deal with this.
Sorry to interrupt,
Who's talking?
Jason.
Go ahead.
What about when they come from EC3? Because we had this scenario where they come up for EC3, they would do a procedure and they were supposed to go to an ICU bed, but it wasn't ready. Do they come out to us or do they go directly to EC3 again? Because they're technically still an ICU patient.
Well, we've had problems for EC3.
What's the-
Now they're not coming back.
What's the
They haven't
EC3?
been-
I have something to say regarding that. On New Year's Eve, we had a patient come from EC3, and anesthesia organized them going back to EC3 after their procedure. That was the PACU resident that organized it between the OR anesthesia resident and ER.
That's what I did too with my scenario. I had anesthesia stay with the patient since they came out to PACU. But they ended up taking care of the patient and sending them back to EC3 themselves.
So let's go back to Ryan Davis, because EC3 has been a sticking point in the past. We've had, you know, issues both ways where they don't take them. Yeah, see, and the poor, you know, and so having worked in the ED and knowing what the situation is down there, it's just, you know, they are desperate to move patients. And if they get somebody out, no matter what, they're like, okay, I'm filling that bed with another one, because I had 50 patients in my waiting room. So, you know, not to defend, but I am defending the ED as well, because they have to be safe too. You know, I mean, they're finding dead patients in the waiting room every now and again now. I mean, seriously, it is that bad down there.
That's why I wanted to clarify whether or not do we send them back or do we just have anesthesia, recover them and PACU before they get an ICU bed? It's a kind of gray area for us, and I don't want to step on any toes or create any issues.
Why would anesthesia recover them? Not the PACU nurse.
I understand we can recover them, but if the plan was for them to go back to EC3, wouldn't they have gone direct instead of coming out to us? Because then it just creates a little mucky scenario.
So this weekend, we had this come up too on
Pardon?
Tuesday. We had a patient come from EC3. We recovered them. They were on respiratory isolation even, so it made it kind of tricky, but our anesthesia provider asked the nurses in EC3 if they could recover the patient, and they said no. So we recovered the patient and then sent them back to EC3.
So we will, one, I think if you can get anesthesia to return them to EC3, that's our first preference. Two, we will work on that on our end, exactly what's supposed to happen with EC3, because I don't know,
Yeah,
Margaret doesn't know.
We kind of talked about it because of the issues with EC3, but we never did anything further with it, to be honest with you, Ryan and I. So we do need to touch base.
So that is a legit sticking point,
Yeah,
and
it
we'll
is.
work on that from
Yeah.
our end. But everywhere else besides neuro ICU,
Medical ICU. CCU, CCMU, and 4D do not take fresh post-op patients. But trauma burn and
CCMU
CCU
does some, like if it was like, somebody that went to like get a trach or things like
Yeah.
that, CCMU will take them back.
Okay. And
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, because there was one yesterday that was a trach from CCMU and it went direct back to the unit.
Perfect.
But then we had to take that IV COVID patient, so.
this, which we shouldn't have.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
What that nurse said when I went to.
So
cover-
yesterday, there was a 5D we had 5 COVID positive patients yesterday.
Mhm.
There was a 5D patient that went direct to the OR. They had their surgery. The CRNA called me and he says, hey, just a heads up, we have this COVID positive patient from SICU that you're gonna have to recover. I'm like, no, they go direct. And he said, no, he said, I was specifically told by the nurse when I picked this patient up that she would not be recovering the patient because she has a second patient. So.
And you say, I'm a nurse too, and.
Well, I know, because I used to work up there, and I actually worked with that CRNA up there. So, I then got our attending involved,
Mhm.
Guy Anderson, called his wife Lauren, who, she's not an attending up there anymore, but she used to be. Got Lauren involved, he talked to Lauren, and then my attending in the PACU told me to just recover the patient. So the patient came out very stable,
Mhm.
and was back upstairs within an hour,
Mhm.
you know, and then Tony called report and the nurse said, oh, you recovered the patient
Oh, you
down
recovered,
there.
I thought we were gonna recover up here.
Oh,
you're done.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And I said, it's asking
Yeah.
standards that if the
And-
patient's stable, you take 2 ICU.
And that is the guidelines we have in the hospital, that the
Yes.
patient goes back. So one, escalate that if it's during, daylight hours, and 2, if not, yes, risk.
So I'm
Risk that.
crafting an email that Montel and I will send
Mhm.
to the CNTs of both SICU and trauma burn, because I foresee this as being an issue. That they're starting to say, oh, I can't be
Yeah,
one-to-one,
that's all.
you know what I mean? So let's nip this in the bud right now.
Because we're not.
Because
And
we're
I-
not one-to-one either.
I think we cleared it up with trauma burn yesterday. They're on our page, but I don't know about the other.
Yeah, SICU probably has.
Yeah.
Because the risk report just came out today. Did somebody talk to trauma burn's leadership? Yesterday?
We did,
Oh, okay.
we did.
I made sure I wrote it up and I was very generic, but
Yeah.
I said, I just stated what I knew happened.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to look up the nurse's name, so I included the nurse because the nurse told the CRNA,
Right,
I'm not recovering this patient because I have another patient.
nope. Mm-mm.
So, and then.
Can't refuse assignments.
Huh?
Can't refuse assignments.
I've had an issue. The teacher said the nursing staff were not aware of the patient. When I talked to the charge nurse, and she told me she was. And
No,
then
no, the
the patient
patient
said that they
came
weren't aware.
From
And then-
SICU, and Steve Kelly was the CRNA. We both worked up there together. And Steve was like, hey, he said, when I picked this patient up, the nurse told me she was not gonna be recovering this patient, that it would have to be recovered in PACU, that she's got another patient. And she couldn't be one-to-one. And I
This
was
nurse
like,
this nurse had another patient too.
Yeah, see, they're making their own rules, so we kind of gotta, that's why I wanna
That's
get
why
to
I
their
wrote it
leadership.
up.
to say,
Margaret
"Hey,
was like,
guys."
you gotta write it up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I will.
Yeah,
So-
and that, we have guidelines here. They weren't followed. That will get some action. Yeah.
We're out here. We're recovering.
Yeah.
And it used to be NICUs down here would be 1-to-1 too,
Mhm.
but, I mean, try to do that, but if it gets busy,
Yeah.
it's busy.
Yeah.
But yet upstairs, they don't have to recover, but they're still
Mhm.
1-to-1 and better than we are sometimes, you know what I mean?
Don't we have certain criteria for the NICU patients that they can go sooner?
They
Margaret?
don't,
No.
they don't necessarily have to meet our discharge criteria. If
Yeah.
we're going to an
Yeah,
ICU,
ICU, they're basically ready.
Like
Yeah.
half
Yes, yeah, but still,
like as soon, like we can make them ready for bed right away, and as soon as they'll take report upstairs, because they don't have to meet our phase 1 discharge criteria, because their ICU status going to an ICU.
so. Our goal is to send them, if there's pushback, risk report it. So we have been looking at and discussing some weekend coverage changes. I feel, the supervisors feel Friday night is pain in all of our booties, mostly your guys's. Okay, if a nurse is on call on Friday night, you guys probably are thinking you're gonna get called in, right? Like, it just happens. Jamie has gotten a whole bunch of data of hours being worked Friday night from, I don't know, 8 till whatever. They're astronomical. We have been able to justify with leadership that we need Friday night coverage, additional Friday night coverage. So we are able to trial an additional Friday night shift for 90 days. We don't think we're going to be able to get this to happen until the March schedule, because just our timing wasn't real great. So there will be another nurse scheduled 8 to 8 Friday nights. One, I hope it will substantially reduce call. That's our big goal. And concurrently help a little morale. Okay. I don't want to be called in every Friday night. I would dread that. I don't want that for you. So we're hoping that happens. We're going to start with 1, 2.
You have to have 2 here all the time.
2. So then Saturday, we don't necessarily have the numbers to do all night like we do Friday. Because at, 12:30ish, something like that, our numbers typically drop. We don't have the same data from Friday night, but we are going to adjust the shifts that we already work with on Saturday to a variation of something. We're not sure. To staff up till midnight.
So that 8 o'clock, you're almost gonna keep it up and under one.
On Saturday night also.
Starting in March.
Yes, so again, reduce call, help morale, better work-life balance for all of you. With this being said, when we do things like this, in the middle of the fiscal year, in the middle of, what do we call it here? Staffing model, right? We have to move, like on Saturday. We are not getting extra people, right? We don't have that capability. We don't have extra people. We're moving them. We're adjusting times.
When people are coming in.
Right? So Friday, filling it, we are pulling that FTE from somewhere during the week. Now, am I surprised we aren't a 24-hour staffed all the time? Yes. But because of where we are in the fiscal year, in the staffing model year, we can't just change that, because on, tomorrow afternoon or Tuesday afternoon, when we are bursting at the seams and we need every nurse we have, we can't pull them from that. So trialing, we'll see how we do. We'll keep looking at our numbers and kind of move closer to where we want to be. But this is a big step. We got the okay for that. I'm excited about it. I think it will be good. Hopefully it doesn't all go bad, but I think it will be good. So that's one big change that we are excited about. Any questions about that? Not till
Thank you.
I don't know who that was, but you're welcome. Yeah. I don't know about right now, but come like February,
They gotta get all these people through orientation.
yes, there's a bunch of them in orientation.
It depends, you know, at the moment, we're at 5, but then, you know, it all depends. When people go off on leave, it adjusts.
Yeah,
It adjusts, you know, so.
we have,
are doing
we do
lots
have
of
some
hiring,
increased leave coming up, which doesn't really help us too much. but- But all these, we will have a lot of filled FTEs, but they're on orientation. So we won't feel it until summer, some relief.
And then we have vacation, so we.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a spur. We realize from
Mhm.
supervision aspect, we realize that it's a huge dissatisfier.
Yeah.
It's been a huge dissatisfier for a long time. And so we want to try to make
Mhm.
positive impact. It's not gonna solve everything.
No,
Obviously, and I know, but it's a start.
it's a
So-
little start, and little starts gets us a little more action. So that's kind of what we are going for. There's other things in the works too. So let me say this, we are aware of some of the things you're unhappy about. We're not in the dark, right? We don't want you to be unhappy. We want staff to stay here and like their job. This is like segueing into a new conversation, but we can't have it all at once. Like, nobody is giving me an open checkbook and do what you want, Chantel. But we are aware, and we're looking at what we can do, and there's many conversations in the meet. I know the top things you're upset about. We're working on it. Give us a little time. We're getting there. Not everything all at once. So with that being said, we want you to be happy. I talked about this, I think maybe at a staff meeting, maybe at a huddle, because we didn't have a staff meeting last week. Or whatever we call this meeting. We very much, leadership, UBC, very much want to increase morale on the unit. This is an issue. This is an issue on this unit. I believe toxicity is an issue in this unit because we're disgruntled. It's rough. We have came through a pandemic. There's been major changes. We're covering places in this hospital that we really don't own. There's lots of these things. Staffing has been very poor. So we're working more and we're on call more. With that being said, I still can't be toxic. I can't. You can come in my office, man, you can vent. There was a nurse in there today and she feels better now because she was able to vent and she's over it now. You can do that. You can't do that out on the unit with your coworkers, and you can't do that in the break room because it affects your coworkers. Okay, if you want to problem solve, absolutely. But toxicity, we have to stop. It is an expectation that you come in and you do certain things here, right? The expectation is you're not toxic either. It's just how it is. It creates a very poor workplace. Now, in an effort to try to correct that, supervisors, leadership have discussed lots of things. Ways to fix this. A couple things that are in the works is, and Tricia said it earlier, new year, new unit. That's our little catchphrase. So those of you, and I don't know who's the longest person who's been around or if we ever had that here. But when I am getting a patient, a fresh PACU patient, and Jamie and Crystal, good, I knew her name, are hanging out just like that because their patients are neat and tidy and maybe they only have one and whatnot, but I am getting this fresh patient. I want to see both of them young ladies get up and assist me. Every single, if there are 10 people sitting there, they should all get up. They should all get up. If that patient, the whole wet beds, whatever we call that problem is happening, that could take 30 seconds to have that patient tidied up, monitored up, some stuff started. What else do you need, Chantel? Blah, 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 blah. That should happen every single time. I guarantee we have all worked in an environment where that did happen. Right? If it wasn't here, it was down in ER, or it was up in ICU, or it was in another unit, and it was dynamic, wasn't it? Please tell me some of you have worked in that environment.
Yeah.
It was dynamic. That should happen. My patients are pre-op, I'm chilling out. I get a patient, or my neighbor gets a patient. I should say, come on, Margaret, so-and-so is getting a patient. Hook them up, get vital started. You got to pee. Let me do the AccuDose or AccuCheck. Like, all those things should happen. That is an expectation that it happens. Everybody, nurses, techs, it is an expectation if you are not involved in patient care or charting that you get up and assist your teammate. Would that not be dynamic for the unit?
Yeah, but it might look like a code happening at that unit. At that spot.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I am glad it has gotten a lot better. We have work to do. I have seen that. We have work to do. And listen, there's times I would walk in a room with 3 or 4 of my coworkers and am not needed and be like, okay, you don't need me, right? Okay. And back out. You made yourself available. You supported your teammate, right? New year, new unit. That is one example. The thing you have heard, own your zone, that is another example. That has not gotten better. We have to be better about that. This unit should not be a disaster from Friday night till Sunday night, when Sunday night shift comes in and hopefully is a little slower and is able to get it all back in order. We should leave with it taken care of. We should do that every night. If I got a group of 5 nurses in this area that I'm working in and made sure we left this beautiful and go rounded up some stretchers, thank you. We could do that in 10 minutes. We could, right? If I am not working and my people are gone and I'm doing pretty good, hey, listen, let me start on that for you. You're not getting out of here any later. It can be done. So this is, it absolutely, and nobody's working anymore and they're not staying later. It absolutely can be done. So we are committing to rounding more. We are committing to being available to you when things are burning down. But we need some key people in the unit to take the lead. Peer pressure, right? Takes one person to say, okay, come on, you and you, we don't have anything to do. Let's go stock and clean and wipe down and get some carts and have this done for night shift.
But it always can't be a few chosen people.
That's right. Nope.
It's got to be everybody.
It's got to be everybody. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's peer pressure. You grab 3, 4 people, that is typically not everybody. It's not, those 3 people aren't doing, but if you say, come on, let's do it real fast. Come on, let's time ourselves 10 minutes. That's how much we got done. We have to have those people start to step up. I want you to enjoy coming here and working. Again, we talked about this. Nobody has a trust fund that I know about. We have to come here. Okay. We have to start taking some actual steps to do that, not just talking about it. Jamie, who I hear is an artist, is working on a t-shirt for us with our little new year, new unit catchphrase that we can get. That info will be coming. If people have other suggestions, there will be new things rolling out, kind of. One thing that we're going to talk to the UBC about later on is the fish philosophy. I think the fish philosophy is super good. It's very popular. I really like it, but I think here it has probably ran its course. So we're going to ask them to look to a new team building model and try to implement some of those things. What do we think? Anybody? Is everybody excited about that? Come on, where's Jason speaking up right now? He's logged off. No, I'm kidding. So anyways, that is definitely our drive. There will be changes. I don't believe changes are all bad. I want them to be good changes. There may be different work, but it will be leveled out a little bit so it doesn't feel like more work. Yes.
So with going to this, Friday night.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys talked to the midnight shift already. I just want to make sure, because when we got thrown on to Saturdays, there was no conversation. We were just told. And I just kind of wanted to make sure that the midnight shift was included in this decision and was not kind of told that you were doing that.
Yeah, so we've been kind of talking to them a little about what's the struggles. That's what it started with, and obviously looking at our call numbers and that kind of stuff. And, I mean, they would like 3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday fully. We just can't get the okay. We can't get that justified right now. So this is like a little step, but yeah, they're excited that there will be a little bit more.
And the other thing I worry about, so they're not gonna get stuck working Friday night off, Saturday work Sunday. They'll try to.
That is their concern.
That you're not doing that.
So in an effort to help them not do that, they asked if they could do their own schedule. There's 5 of them.
There will be 6.
Yeah. So they asked, so we don't get, because no one's fault, but, and I'm sure you guys get it when you look at that schedule. They are looking at filling the needs, right? Nothing is done on purpose, like to screw you over with a 1 night on, 1 night off, 1 night on. They are just looking to fill the needs. That's an enormous schedule. So, which I get, but they're like, which days we work are very important to us. So they asked if they could do their schedule between the 5 or 6 or whatever of them. I have no problem with that. They have to do the work. I don't care. I said the problem with staff doing schedules typically is it's 4th of July weekend and I'm on vacation, but I don't want to work that, Thursday or Friday either, because I want to prepare for my vacation. And I said, that's my concern, but you guys, if you decide to do this, you're agreeing to work it out amongst yourself. We got to cover those shifts. And there's somebody, obviously a supervisor will look at the end and make sure it's covered and evened out. So that was reassuring to them. Yeah, but yes, that is Friday night. There won't be coverage on Saturday at this point. If we go into this next staffing model and we justify the hours right now or not, and it changes, that'd probably make them even happier. Because then they could do Friday, Saturday, Sunday and be done with it.
You're pretty close. We have 1 day to pull together.
I know. So the problem is, yes, they are called in and we're obviously using people. Now, hopefully we won't have as much call since we're staffing till 12:30. But a lot of times they're not needed, come 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Those hours are quiet. And so that's the kicker. So. Anybody else? Anybody online? I didn't see any comments. Oh, now they're coming. Mike says, can we create a schedule committee to create the rest of the schedule? I don't know.
I mean, Jamie, what's your thoughts on that schedule now that you just are experiencing?
I mean, that was one of the questions that I brought up in workload, is if staff wanted to take that over, because it is a big undertaking. And this go around, I'm doing a schedule, I'm not just overwhelming. It is, and sometimes it seems impossible to find charge nurse coverage and moving people around and trying to appease and have everyone be happy. Do we have the staff who are willing to do that, give them that much business time, take them off the floor? We would love for staff to do it. It's,
any supervisor since the beginning of time has not wanted anything to do with the schedule.
Yeah.
It is a nightmare. anywhere you go, right? Because I'll say it, we cannot make staff happy with the schedule because nobody really wants to come to work, but we add their name to the schedule. But, so Jamie says some very good points.
What if you did like online scheduling? Like I know some units, they have places where like you go online and you put your schedule in and it'll block you out if the census is already full for that day and that time. Like there are systems that could do that.
That's
And then
that's a little different because those units are typically 12-hour shifts. And, you know, if they get 9 nurses on day shift on Wednesday, then you get blocked out. And then there's like that seniority issue in there and those different things come up. And again, going back to the supervisors will work, Amanda works, and then the supervisors will work for hours and hours and hours on the schedule. How are we getting a group of nurses or making available, making them available to do that? And then there still has to be one person over the schedule. Because Susie Jane is not gonna like Tommy Joe because they're not agreeing on the schedule because they've all got friends. There are issues with staff doing the schedule.
This one's picking on me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
she put me on another Friday.
I did it,
Yeah.
I did the schedule at a different hospital that I worked at,
Mhm.
and that was always the argument. It didn't
Yes.
matter. Rules, the guidelines.
Yep.
Everyone was always in the office complaining. It was me and another girl that did it, and it was, this one's picking on me,
Mhm.
and this one's picking on me, and I think at this,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my.
Yes.
You would be feeling with like,
Right.
you know, so.
There.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
The ED has a lot of staff too that can be very intense. I wonder how they do their schedule. That might be somebody to talk to, the supervisors over there. You know what I mean? Just to be.
Might be a big pain.
Well, it
Right.
probably is, but maybe they have some suggestions. I don't know.
which unit, Margaret? I didn't hear you.
ER.
Yeah, so how they do it is self-scheduling. They do it all online. That's where I came from.
I have worked with self-scheduling a lot. Those people are no more happy. They're no more happy. I mean, they absolutely hated it. Because you still have to be moved if nobody wants to work the Friday before the 4th of July. You still have to be moved. And, you know, so with.
Amanda's still gonna look over it.
So Jamie says with Google Doc, we're kind of still doing self-scheduling and then, you know, so it would just be a different format.
What about like rotating? Like you could have like, you could make a guideline and workload that rotates, you know, certain amount of people. If you already worked like the Friday before one holiday, like that's your one for the year or something. Like I worked in units like that too, where they try to rotate who works before holidays. So it's not like so-and-so is getting scheduled like every Friday before the holiday.
We can, Andrea and I discussed this just a smidge this morning. We come in early, so we talk about all this stuff before anybody comes in the office, but there were a couple things with the schedule. We were gonna kind of punt to workload. So this will be discussed in workload. How about that?
Our previous employment, we had to work so many weekends of a holiday. So typically it was, you pick 2. And that's just, you were expected to work those weekends, 2 a year, whatever it was. And we picked it just like we pick our holidays and vacation. Same concept.
Okay. We will further discuss this. Anything else?
I know my biggest like issue with staff not doing the schedule is that like those who doesn't understand what it's like to flip day night to actually be working like this. I feel like it'd be like when I moved to day night rotator, all the issues I had that could have been avoided had it been the schedule been done by night shift. That know that you shouldn't be working like night, day, night, and the same week, and how far they'll be on somebody.
That,
I do agree with that.
I do too. I did that for a little bit, not by choice. I did not choose that. I think anybody that chooses it, thank you for being a day-night rotator, but that is gonna be very, very challenging. I wish there was a better, hey, you're gonna be on nights for 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how easy that is to really work.
And I think, but work night shift, it was avoidable, like, you could look at the schedule and see who could have worked there, or how it could have been changed.
Okay.
But also, like, the night shift, they said when they did the schedule, you know, they avoided that, they were able to avoid that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it's just, I think it'll be.
No pressure, Jamie.
I did remember that one time with Hila, this schedule, where she was working a day and then the next 2 nights were night. Like, that really sucks. And I tried every which way to either flip her all to days or flip her all to nights. And with the people on lease,
that's not as bad. I think that's fine. Like, yeah, we work a day and then night,
right,
or night and then day, or whatever. However that is, that's fine. But like working night.
Yeah, for sure.
Going back and
Yeah.
forth. And it's like, and it says like in the contract that if you do get scheduled like that, you have to pay the extra 75 cents an hour for every hour that you work. And I feel like that is, but it has been since.
And I know historically amongst the rotators and the night shifters, they would kind of bounce back and forth between days and nights, days and nights. But this, it didn't happen this time. But
Yes. Anything else? I see nothing up there.
Do you know how to look in the chat?
Well, I saw the chat question come up. She's got too much open. Let's do this. Oh, I want to do that. I wanted to close this. Okay. Chat. Oh, there's 13 in that chat. There's all your chat. Scroll up. Oh, let's see what you all are saying here. Okay, we're talking about direct to ICU. Okay. Is night shift and day-night rotators covering that Friday night shift?
Yeah.
Yes. We talked about Mike's, can we create a schedule committee? When you look at our Saturday into Sunday, are they included 8 p.m. to midnight as you do for Friday into Saturday? Yes, that's why we are staffing to midnight now. So we will be staffed to midnight. It just says iPhone to everyone, so I don't know who's saying that, but the question is, when you look at numbers for Saturday into Sunday, are you including 8 p.m. to midnight as you do for Friday into Saturday? That's where all our numbers are. So that's why we're staffing up there. I believe it needs to be an unbiased person making the schedule to eliminate all that. That is the problem. That is the problem. Because I'm always going to give my best friend, you know, working Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We had a schedule committee, keep each other.
So right now, I mean,
That's
we're in
what
a staffing.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, the hard part is right now, I mean, we've got to get our unit up and running.
Yes.
But to,
Full
I mean, we
potential.
can't keep calling staff out to do business stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, our goal is obviously to take care of patients first. I mean, maybe when we get our numbers up, maybe it's something that we can look at.
Yeah.
But right now,
we're already stretched.
we're stretched as it is.
We
Our
have,
goal is to take care of patients.
yeah, we have come from very, very bad vacancy rate to somewhat better, but we aren't working with those people yet. So yes, there is a little more flexibility and a little more not day, night as our numbers get better. So that should help things.
Be a lot to own their own.
Right?
It was a freezer to eat.
But if you had a night person on Saturday into Sunday, the evening numbers should.
8 to midnight.
What? So the numbers, so we're looking at the number of cases and the number of call hours or hours in general and hours in general. So we don't justify having somebody all the time from midnight to, when do they come in on 5:30? 8, midnight to 8. That is the kicker right now. That may change, but right now it has not. I would love to. Like I said, I was very surprised we don't have, complete 24-hour coverage, but and I'll be honest, they said yes, we're going to take what we can get. Hopefully the numbers show us different and they're a little closer and we can, beg for more later. But I do think this will dramatically help Friday night and Saturday evening-ish call. People can be home a little more on Friday and Saturday night. Can we use business time to work on the schedule? That is the problem. We do not have the surplus of staff to give up.
It would take hours. I worked on this at home.
Like, yeah.
You work on it all day.
They work on it the whole week. So we can't give up a staff members for a week every month, which is what it is.
There's a lot.
There's so much documentation.
Yes.
And after a while, you start getting cross-eyed, looking at everything.
You have
It's
to have
like,
contract
wait,
language too.
and contract
So
language, yeah.
for everybody to know that, I mean, right?
I think it's just very, very challenging on many levels to have a staff member do it, especially at this juncture. And trust me, the supervisor would give it up in a heartbeat. They have no great attachment to it. We can look at some options, but I think that's super tough.
Hey, it's challenging for me to do it over microphone, but this is Mike.
That's okay.
The reason I asked about the business time thing is I don't obviously know like the fiscal side of business time and how it's allowed to be used. But for example, I did the schedule at the last PACU I worked. I would be willing to do it at home for business time separate from my regular hours.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do that because one, it would send you into overtime, and I'm not kidding you. I mean, I would assume Jamie will work on that for 30 hours this week. And so she doesn't get it until last Friday, right? And then she has to have it posted this Friday. It's just enormous. I don't know who that
I
is.
don't think Sandra L did it ever. Not that I know of. Sandra Lentz never did it.
Yes.
Who's talking? Sorry, we don't know who.
Sandra Lentz never did the schedule.
Go ahead. Val's got a question. Dan, sorry. I got 2 letters right. That's pretty good. Yes, we're done. Thank you. Thank you. It's Jill. Yes, she did.
Yep.
Was it Jill? Was it before I even came to supervision? Was it when Shannon and Chris?
Is she gone?
Yeah, it was like Andrea. Wait.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Now
I
we
can hear
can.
you now. Yeah, you were going.
Oh,
it was
sorry.
before I
Yeah.
supervision.
Initially, Cindy Butler did it. And when she retired, Andrea took over the day evening schedule and I did the night schedule. So I prepped the whole night schedule before she had to have the day evening. And then you could check with her, but I think it took her 4 hours or 6 hours a month. So you're not talking about 30 hours. I mean, for people who know the schedule, have done a schedule before, those type of things. Andrea had done it up in CCMU. I had done it up in the ICU I worked in. That's all I can tell you. I mean, we did it. And then when COVID hit and they reset the schedule 7A to 7P and 7P to 7A, the schedule was just taken from us.
Who's 7A to 7, who?
When we opened the unit as a COVID unit, they switched everybody's schedules to 7A to 7P or 7P to 7A. And that's when Amanda Palmer took the schedule.
We will send this to workload. This is a workload thing.
Yeah, because I think there's people that will say, yes, it's great. There's people who say that, no, it's awful.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying it has been done by staff. I mean, Cindy Butler probably, I've been down here 16 years. So probably the first 10, 11 years I was there was a staff person that did the schedule every time. It's only been since we turned into a COVID unit that Amanda Palmer took the schedule.
Okay.
So it has been done. That's all I'm saying. I don't.
Supervisors have no attachment to that. I'm sure they would be happy to give it up if we found a system. I think that finding that system might be challenging, but we'll send it to workload. They meet maybe next week. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And they can start to discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm almost lost everybody here, but everybody online is still there. Okay. Anything else, guys? I'm seeing nothing come through. Okay. Have a good day. Go to bed, some of you. Yes.